Having low self-esteem is no joke. The good thing is that you're here, that you at least have a realization of it, because there are people out there that have it that don't even know they have it. They just wonder, what's wrong with me? Why am I so broken? Why am I so messed up? I don't deserve this. I'm not enough. All classic thoughts of low self-esteem, which you have probably had if you're watching this video. And so in today's video, I'm going to go over 5 steps to help you build from no/low self-esteem to high self-esteem so you can accomplish what you want in life and believe in yourself. Just before we get into these 5 steps, welcome. I'm Coach David. Welcome back if you're a subscriber. Welcome for first timers. And I want to tell you about a free Success Create Your Dream Life meditation that I have below this video. It's a meditation and a process that I've used with myself, with clients for years to help people build that self-image up so that they can create the life they want. This is a very process I've used and I'm giving away for free in the description, in the comments. You'll see links below. So go ahead and grab that. It's going to help with everything that we're going to go through in this video. So go get that. I myself have a very personal journey with having low self-esteem over my lifetime, having not grown up in an environment where I was really encouraged in terms of self-esteem because my parents didn't have the greatest self-esteem, like many parents don't, and many people don't, right? That's just how it goes. And we don't want to blame them for it, but it's just how it is. And so I first upped my self-esteem right around socialness and social confidence and shyness. And that's what I've helped people with for years. But I also had a journey when it comes to being a business owner, an entrepreneur, of when things really crashed down about 2.5 years ago to where it brought me to my lowest point in life and some hidden shame issues were uncovered. And my core self-esteem was really thrashed. And so I've basically had to rebuild myself in the last 2.5 years. And that's why I'm sharing these 5 steps with you right now. Let's get into step number 1. Step 1 is identify the inner critic. Identify the inner critic. This is that voice in your head that says all these nasty things like, I'm not enough, you suck, you're not worth it, you're so messed up. And it even speaks as you. Why am I so broken? So what you have to understand fundamentally is that you and we are not our thoughts or our feelings. We're the one who experiences those things. This is really powerful to get because yes, we can reframe and do affirmations with self-talk and change to more positive statements. But if fundamentally you believe you're that talk, then there's this war of self-talk. Who's going to win? Well, it's sort of a crapshoot if you don't understand that both positive and negative self-talk is just that. It's self-talk, it's thoughts, and those thoughts ultimately generate our mood state and gets conditioned in over time through stories or narratives as well. And if we had some stuff happen to us in the past that wasn't so beneficial or traumatic, then we can often create our own self-talk in order to cope with this. So it's not that we've done anything wrong, we've just created a certain amount of self-talk to prevent us from experiencing more of that. The problem is that event and experience is no longer happening and the self-talk is still going on along with the associated feelings. So you have to understand that you are the one who observes or participates in generating the self-talk, but you're never the self-talk, whether it's positive or negative. And you're also, this is very key, not your feelings. It's so easy to identify with our feelings as who we are and just how we are, but that's not the case. That's not how this works. It's like the best, worst video game that we've ever lived in, this virtual reality of, wow, I can really feel and have these conversations going on and have these images, in my head, whether I'm looking out this way or looking in my head and dreaming and so on and so forth, daydreaming, to be going on and generating these full experiences. But we're the one who experiences all of that. That's who we really are. That's our authentic self. And so that's what we have to start to separate and identify in order to overcome low self-esteem. From there, we can use more positive self-talk. But the problem is, yes, can positive self-talk work for some people? Yes, it can. But there's many of us like me, and especially if you get into overthinking and ruminating and overanalyzing things, where you sort of like, I'm not buying into this crap. So I had to learn to identify that I'm not any of the thoughts and to really observe and notice that when I applied more positive thinking with the awareness that I'm not the thought still, that I tended to feel better and more positive and have higher self-esteem. And when I listened to that negative inner critic and those negative thoughts and fell into those feelings along with it, that I just happened to be mistaking the illusion that I was those negative thoughts and feelings. You see what I mean? It's very subtle, but very powerful. This helped me tremendously. And even in the last 2.5 years, when I had my rock bottom moment, biggest rock bottom moment of my entire life, that this helped to pull me out of this. So you are the one who experiences the thoughts and feelings. You're much more powerful than those thoughts or feelings. You're much more powerful, okay? So that inner critic, watch for that, start labeling and identify it's just an inner critic. It's not me, and I don't have to listen to it. And I can start telling myself better things, fundamentally realizing that I am not that inner critic. Now we're on to the second key here, which is going to be a lot easier. We did the advanced, the toughest one first. And the second key is to take a look at who you currently are surrounded by in terms of relationships. And are they supportive of you overall or not supportive of you overall? There's rhetoric out there. There's advice that says just cut people out. Well, that's not always possible, especially if we have family members or people in our lives that we can't just cut out immediately. So what I recommend is distancing ourselves from those who are not supportive. So you can do kind of an assessment, do a little pros and cons of each person. And you know what, though, you kind of know immediately who is and who isn't. And if somebody's on the fence, then you can kind of pros and cons. Should I keep this person in my life? What's good, what's bad? But we know by general gut who's good for us and who's not. If we're caught in a big bout of really depressive, anxious, low self-esteem thinking, and everybody looks like they're against us or nobody understands us, you probably don't want to go with that assessment if you're going, because that would just cut out everybody, unless you truly are surrounded by non-supportive people everywhere. That's really, really quite rare. Whatever that is that you do to judge and assess who should stay and who should go, or who you should be around more or regularly and who you should distance yourself, you need to start addressing that and especially distancing yourself from people that aren't supportive. And that very well could be family members. And it also could come in more subtle forms where people are competitive, like anytime that you have an accomplishment and share it and they sort of go, well, I did this, right? And they don't acknowledge you. Sibling rivalry, perhaps sometimes, a competitive parent or friend. You may just have to start distancing yourself. And let's say you have a social group that you're part of. You're going to see that person as part of your social group. Well, then you just sort of maybe play nice, but you sort of avoid conversation with them, quite frankly. Why do you need them in your life if they're going to be competing with you and unsupportive of you? Type of vibe. So step 2, highly recommend you assess your relationships and distance yourself or cut out if you can people that are unsupportive. Continue to have those people and maybe even confide more and be more vulnerable with somebody who you see as supportive and who is truly loving and caring. That can be a valuable thing because sometimes we might keep it all in and we're not even telling anybody. That can really help to have that supportive person, and you only need 1 or 2 max really that can be that kind of person to support you. And now on to keys or step 3, depending how you want to look at it. End comparison thinking. Comparison is such a type of conditioning that we all struggle with, and it's part of being human. What I've found is with myself, and certainly with a lot of my clients, is that when they come in and they're having self-image problems and a lack of self-confidence and low self-esteem, it's that they're comparing themselves to everyone and their mother and brother and father and sister and so on and so forth, right? And quite frankly, you know, in society, consumerism is built on this. Like, hey, if you know the ad with the car, hey, if you get the car, then you'll be successful and people will like you. Hey, if you get the new makeup or the haircut or the clothes or the beer even, or the special energy drink or the right diet, whatever, it's all based on that comparison because it actually works quite well. What we have to do is realize that needs to go, and I use a little trick that I call comparison narrowing because it can be hard for somebody to just stop ending the comparison immediately. And the comparison is tied into the inner critic in key 1 here. What we need to do is narrow down, because what I've found is when I work with people and with myself, that the mind doesn't do well with like, stop doing that, just end it and be present. We generally need to have something to go towards. So what can we move towards? We can narrow down and compare ourself with ourself, and that's it. So I have a comparison activity that I can do, but it's like the highest level, the most beneficial comparison activity to go, okay, well, up until now, I didn't know about this low self-esteem stuff. And here I am on Coach David's video, and I'm working on this stuff now, and I'm taking a step in the right direction just by doing one of these things. So that's better than I was 10 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago, even a minute ago. And that's moving in the right direction. Do you see what I mean? That's comparison narrowing, just to yourself against yourself, just based on progress. Truth be told, eventually that should go to, because our mind can do strange things, we want to work towards letting go of any kind of comparison, or when it comes up, just sort of dropping it, going, no big deal. And sometimes people can do that very rapidly, but most of the time it's very, very difficult. So we want a comparison narrow to give our mind something to focus on so we can cut out all this comparison stuff that's generating low self-esteem. And it's very, very common that this happens. All right, so we're on to key number 4, which is out of your head, into your body, and into your life. Out of your head, into your body, into your life. I got this from a psychologist named Stephen Hayes, who I believe is one of the founders of acceptance and commitment therapy, something that I've integrated into my work and actually worked with an acceptance and commitment therapist. It has mindfulness involved, it has values, it has identifying that we're not our thoughts and feelings, all these types of things that have to do with mindfulness and awareness. The idea is that many of us, when we struggle with anxiety and low self-esteem and depression, all these things, we suffer from being too much in our head and overthinking, overanalyzing. Rumination absolutely been a problem for me and many of my clients. My life has become so much better that I've learned how to take my intellect, analyzing mind, and background it and not have it run the show, but use it as a tool. So how do we do this? Well, that means doing activities that get us more into our body and not having to think about things so much. So how can we do this exactly? Well, things that get us into our body more, feeling into our body more, and not having to overthink things. On the whole, that can be activities that are athletic and sports-like. Could even be art and music where we're doing things with our hands. Nature walks can be a really good thing. It depends here. If it tends to rev us up more, if it somehow brings out that comparison part or overanalyzing part, we have to watch for that. But in general, getting out into nature and walking, and then also learning how to redirect our attention to other areas of our body internally. I was trained in something called somatic coaching, and I often work with clients to redirect their awareness into other parts of their body because they don't even realize it. They're living up in their heads so much. And this was the case with me until I learned this stuff, and I still practice it to this day. It's very, very beneficial and useful. And the tendency is once we do that, we start to have this fuller experience of who we are, feel more connected to our life, and our nervous systems can regulate better and calm down better. Not in every single case is going to the gym a good thing, is, oh, I'll just go to the gym more. If the thinking is being revved up or the anxiety is being revved up with the comparison and competition, it's a case by case basis. So you have to experiment, but this generally is a very, very good thing to get out of our head, get into our body, and get into our life. And just before I jump into key number 5, I want to invite you to drop a comment below, share your thoughts, any insights that you're having with these keys. Would love to hear from you. Also hear about your self-esteem journey, maybe things you're trying as well, roadblocks, any of that stuff. Also make sure to like this video. It will tell the algorithm to push it to people like you who are needing help with this stuff. And that's the mission here, is to help as many people as possible overcome low self-esteem. Also subscribe and hit the notification bell. Make sure you get notified of new videos right as they come out. And now for the 5th and final key, which is to go and do something new, learn something new. This is part of getting into the life more, a specific thing. What I found is that when we break up the life patterns and get engaged in an activity that we find interesting, that inspires us, that might turn into a passion, who knows, this is a really positive step to get out of our heads and sitting around and staying at home a bunch and getting out into life more and doing something that we find interesting, that we could learn, that we could grow from, whether that's signing up for a class, going to a free group that has an interest around this, right? A common context that you can have conversations with people, make new friends possibly, right? Be around like-minded people around a positive activity. I can tell you that the group leaders and instructors of classes want you to win and succeed, are going to be really supportive on the whole, but it could be around art, it could be around sports, it could be around music, right? It could be around coding, who knows what, but something where you're around like-minded people and you're up-leveling your skills and focusing on doing something in your life that can benefit you. Pretty straightforward and simple, and a really, really beneficial thing to do. And remember that below this video, I've got a link to that free success creation process, that meditation to help support you along with implementing these steps so you can go from low, no self-esteem, build your self-esteem, believe in yourself, and create the life that you want. And I would love to hear from you again in the comments. Drop a comment below. Any insights, learnings, challenges, whatever you're experiencing, would love to hear from you and interact. So as we wrap things up here, just going to recap the 5 steps. 1, identify that inner critic inside your head, that nasty voice. See it's not you. Start working away from that thing. Number 2, look at your current relationships. Keep the ones that are positive and supportive. Cut out or distance yourself from those people that are not supportive of you. Number 3, key number 3 is end comparison thinking. Trick you can use is to use comparison narrowing to compare yourself to yourself so you can at least have something to focus on, right? And go towards using comparison because we're so steeped in it until you learn how to kind of drop it all eventually. Or you can just practice dropping it all if you want. And the 4th thing, of course, is get out of your head and into your body and into your life and things that will support that. And then key number 5 is go out and learn something new. Go learn or do something new break up those patterns in life, those neurological patterns as well. And before you know it, your self-esteem start building and you'll start feeling better and better, and you'll be a completely different version of yourself and have a completely different life. Thanks so much for watching this. I truly hope this video has helped you in some way. I appreciate you if you're a subscriber, and I appreciate you if you're not a subscriber. And whether you stay or go, my genuine intent with this channel is to make the world a better place and share what I've learned on the process of personal development, transformation, having that expression of my authentic self that I've always desired since I was a little wee boy. So until next video, we're complete.